Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of And Now You Know with Betty and Julz. I'm Betty.
And I'm Julz.
And today we have an awesome topic that we're going to have where we're going to talk about uncomfortable conversations. And this is one of the topics that you all voted on. So thank you for those of you that voted. And we're super excited to have this conversation with you today.
Yeah, there could be some things that are a bit controversial. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think they should be controversial, but is it controversial or
controversial?
I'm saying okay, so for example,
the word controversial, and she says it wrong.
Controversial.
I'm just kidding.
So we're going to be talking about lots of fun things like, well, Betty and I just believe, and Jay and I believed and still do, that just being completely honest and upfront about things. That's what keeps your trust strong, and it's just communication.
Yep.
And communication's what's critical in a relationship, in any relationship, be it a marriage, dating, friendship, work. You've just got to be honest and not be living a double life over here.
Yep. And I'm a firm believer in being able to speak your truth and say what you want to say, as long as, you've heard me say this before, as long as you're coming from a place of kindness and respect.
Yep.
So let's start with that. So, first I'm going to say that we absolutely believe, and let me say the sentence first. We absolutely believe that you can have whatever opinion that you want to have, whatever you think is the right thing to do for yourself or for your family. And even though we agree on a lot of different things, there may be some things that we don't agree on. But I will always respect Julz for her thoughts and opinions and for her ability to express it outwardly and believe that that is her truth and communicate it.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest issue with some of the things going on in the world right now, is that if we don't necessarily agree, then we can just be cut off and treated like we are an outcast in so many situations. And I just don't want something crammed down my throat. I mean, go live your life the way that you want, for sure. That's up to you. I may not agree with you, and I don't have to, but we can still be nice to each other.
Right. You still should be able to coexist and feel like you are safe and can live your life the way you want. Now, for me personally, regardless of how anybody chooses to live their life, I'm not in their daily life.
Right.
So I shouldn't have anything to say about how they live their life. Now, I have my own beliefs. I know what I want for me, and I know what I want for my family or for my partner or for, I know that I want the best in people, and that I also know that my thought process is always for everybody to have a level of love and peace and joy in their life.
And respect.
And respect, of course. So if somebody is doing something that feels right to them, even if I don't agree with it, and it isn't impacting my daily life, why would I then shame them, judge them, condemn them?
The only time it bothers me is when somebody is telling me, no, you have to do it this way.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't do it that way because that's not what I believe.
Right.
We're getting a little deep in a different lane, I think, than we wanted this to go. And we were going to keep it maybe a little bit lighter and talk about uncomfortable conversations when you're trying to figure out if you want to keep spending time with someone.
Well, yes. So
from a dating perspective, I think is where we were going, but it really does apply to all areas of life.
It does, because it's funny that you say that, because that's not what I was thinking.
So
she was thinking
funny.
that it would be in a dating perspective. I was thinking that it would be really in everyday life, because the things that I think about are uncomfortable conversations that I've had to have in a place of work.
Right.
And dating for sure, because I've had to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations in dating. But even when you are even just trying to express yourself, right? And you've said this about me before, an uncomfortable conversation of like firing somebody.
Right.
Now, if I'm going to go in and tell somebody that they're fired, I'm not trying to go in and hurt their feelings and just like be so cold and, say that.
She didn't get any pleasure out of firing people.
Right. Instead, in my mind, I'm thinking, how can I make this a positive?
Yep.
Is there anything that I can do to assist them in moving forward and making this experience a learning opportunity instead of them feeling like it was a failure?
Rejection.
So that conversation is very uncomfortable, but I approach it in a totally different way. It's not uncomfortable to me, actually. It's not uncomfortable for me. I know it's uncomfortable for the other person, especially if they're not expecting
But
it.
I've seen this happen over and over in Betty's life because we worked together and she was my boss. And where the problem came in is that they weren't being accountable. She had given them warning, like 90-day warnings, where that's either a cue to maybe go start looking for another job or change the course of the direction of the ship that you're rowing, boat that you're rowing. But then the 90 days,
they're called PIPs, performance improvement plans.
But then that 90 days go by and they act like they're so shocked. It's like, it's kind of how I feel about death with that. And everybody knows I go dark really fast. But when somebody dies, we're always so shocked, even though we all know that that's going to happen to every single one of us on this earth. Why are we
What do you say?
shocked?
What do you say? What are the absolute guarantees in life?
Oh, death, taxes, and change.
Yeah. Death, taxes, and that's
Yeah.
true. That's
so
true.
why are we shocked when April the 15th rolls around and our taxes are due?
Yeah.
Why are we shocked when something changes in our lives? Why are we shocked when somebody got diagnosed with a, terminal disease and then they actually die? It's just a shocking thing. And so these uncomfortable conversations can be shocking because I'm going to just talk about me and Jay, for example. We had talked on the phone, we had gone on our interview date, and then we were on our date. And Jay told me something very uncomfortable. He told me he had cancer. And he said, you need to know this because this might make you not want to go out with me anymore. I loved that he told me that, but then it gave me the opportunity to be honest with him. And right off the bat, and you talk about uncomfortable, these conversations are uncomfortable. And I told Jay that I had my own form of cancer and that if we moved forward in this and we decided to get married down the road, that he would be my fifth husband.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, I'm going to point something out.
His eyes got this big.
Yep. Well, of course. But this is what I'm going to say with what you just said. What happens is when you allow yourself to speak your truth and you allow yourself the opportunity to express yourself, even if you are scared shitless, even if you are so afraid to say whatever the outcome is that the other person might have. They might get up and walk away.
They might.
Whatever it is, when you muster enough courage to say what you need to say, that actually gives the other person an opportunity, if it's received well.
Right.
I think it gives somebody an opportunity to be able to then say, well, that's interesting because there's something that I was feeling a little uncomfortable about, and you just gave me the courage to say it.
Right.
And I feel like that applies to every area of life.
It does. And what it did in that moment was it opened up the doors for Jay and I to make a commitment to only tell each other the truth. Mm-hmm. Whether it was good, bad, whatever, it's just like we've got to say. I mean, just last week we had a situation come up and I got into a conversation with someone and I told them something that I kind of felt like I probably shouldn't have told them. And so I had to go into Jay and say, hey, I kind of got backed into a corner and I had to share this. And he was like, well, I appreciate you telling me. And he said I was going to have that conversation with them. And so it's not a big deal. But I didn't want him to go have the conversation and then go, oh, I know, Julie told me last week. So we're human and we have to give each other that kind of grace. Mm-hmm. And we have to get, and if you're dating someone and you've been married, they've been married, you can't judge them on their past necessarily. It's kind of like it's not your business, but you need to it's not their business, but you need to share it and let them know because it could come and bite you in the ass. Mm-hmm. That's omissions.
Yes, that's the next episode.
Yeah. And so,
that was one of the other topics.
Yeah. And so we just have to give each other an opportunity to know each other. And some of these conversations are about physical. They're about children. What were some of the things that we were
Politics.
talking about? Politics. Ugh.
Well, and then of course there's
Especially in this culture and environment that we're living in right
absolutely. We are going to jump into that in a second. One of the
Yeah.
other things is, we talk a lot about dating, and we also are going to talk about some of the physical aspects and some of the things that can be extremely uncomfortable conversations, but I think are an absolute must, or else it becomes an omission.
It does.
And a lie.
And it becomes a problem. So
Where do you want to begin? Do you want to go to the politic route, or do you want to go the
physical route.
physical route? Go ahead, Julz, get us started. This will be fun.
Let's talk about politics.
Oh, you want to go politics?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
okay.
did you want to go physical? Is that
Whatever, Julz.
I don't care. I don't
You
care. Politically,
You share yours, and then I'll share mine.
I don't even know where to start. I feel like we live in a climate that really, I think we all feel this way, that, man, people want to be outspoken and say what they want to say, but they're scared now. And if you're single and you're dating, I think things can get really volatile quickly if you don't. You know more about this than I
Well,
do.
let me jump right in and share.
Yeah.
So here's what's interesting. Regardless of what you believe, which we're not going to get into specifics of what you believe, because that's not the point.
No.
The point is for people to be able to have their own. I mean, I believe we have the right to have an opinion. I believe that we are supposed to be able to decide and choose what we feel like is in the best interest of ourselves and our family.
Yeah.
So in the case of dating and politics, let me just tell you, whenever I see somebody on a dating app and in their profile, they have in big capital letters, if you voted for X, this will never work. Let me just tell you what my position is on that. It doesn't even matter what side they're on and who they wanted to vote for. It doesn't even matter. Anybody that would include that sentence in their dating profile, I understand that you want to align with somebody, and that's okay, but I feel like that ends up being such a repellent, even if somebody believes the same thing that you believe. Because I know for me, I won't even accept, if there's any kind of a like or a comment or an invitation or anything, because I'm looking at what kind of person this is, and we still live in a world, and we still have the ability to freedom of choice, right? But when somebody kind of comes out of the gate, that is the first thing they want you to know about them. I don't think that's the first thing. I think that there's so much more about the person and what's important and values and beliefs and characteristics. I understand that that is a belief, who you voted for, but there's an aggressive thing behind it of making everybody else wrong if you didn't do that. And that, for me, it's not even the point of who you voted for. It's the mindset that it's so black and white when it's not. So I just don't, I find that to be just a little too small-minded and short-sighted.
It's been going on for a long time because this happened, and I'm not going to say when, where, what election it was or anything, but our neighbor put a yard sign in their yard. Okay. That's what we do during elections.
And that's okay. I think you should. I think if that's what you want to do.
I tend to not necessarily need for people to know my business. I mean, at work, I used to, when we worked together and I had appointments, and I told Betty that I said this, things were very political, and I would have clients start talking about politics. And I said, we're going to talk about real estate today. We're not going to talk about Trump or Jesus. Now I'm in a different mindset. I still don't want to talk about Trump necessarily, but I will talk about Jesus. So I will take a stand for that. And I am a Christian, and I believe that Jesus died on the cross for our sins. And so that's just who I am. But anyway, going back, our neighbor put a yard sign in for who they were voting for. And then later on, we put a sign in our yard, and they were opposites. our neighbor never acknowledged us again. Never even pretended like we existed when we would be out in the front yard. No hi, no looking at us, no nothing. Nothing. Now I was always like, "Hey, how are you doing?" You know, but then I realized that they just really didn't want anything to do with us, and then I realized why. And I don't think that we have to live I don't think we need to create that kind of environment in this world. I'm sorry, I just don't. Why can't we just love each other and respect?
Why can't we all just get along?
I know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that for me, I don't even like the topics of politics or religion. And I do have my own beliefs and I do have my own opinions, and we're very opinionated people, clearly. But at the same time, I don't want anything that creates division. And that's the thing, that people get so heated, specifically about politics and religion. People get so heated, people get so aggressive. And I just feel like there's a level of humanity that is priority to me,
Right.
Of kindness, of respect, of caring for, treat your neighbor as you want, whatever the commandment is.
Yeah.
But it's
Love your neighbor.
Love your neighbor. Thank you. Love your neighbor as you.
Love yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you got to love God first.
Right. Anyway,
God's first.
My point is
neighbor.
that, like, I believe in being a decent human being. I believe
Yes.
in being that person. I believe in loving other people. I believe in wanting the best for other people, even if they believe differently than you do.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't like conversations that create. It's okay to have an uncomfortable conversation. The problem is people lose their minds
They do.
in these conversations, and that's what I don't want to engage in. So if you can go into an uncomfortable conversation and remember who you are, what you're trying to accomplish, what you want for the other person, which we all want, love, respect, freedom, whatever, for the other person too. But if you are trying to get into a conversation where somebody gets super riled up and they're going to make it a point to make it a big chaotic mess, then this is where you have to decide that I don't really want to participate in that.
I mean, I'm also a firm believer in action speaking louder than words. And so I would rather people know that I love them through my actions versus me just telling them, over promising and under delivering. I don't want to say I love you and then have nothing behind that feels like love, and I don't want to. I just believe in being a man of my word, woman of my word. So I don't know. I think it's a scary climate that we live in right now.
It is.
There's a lot of confusion about freedom of speech and freedom of your rights, and who thinks this is right and who thinks this is wrong, and everybody's judging. And the bottom line is,
And everybody wants to cancel somebody else.
Right. And here's the truth, is that we are not knowledgeable enough to judge someone else. Only God knows each and every person's heart on this earth. And I'm so thankful, because that's a huge task. I don't want to judge.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't. There are some people that I don't want to be around, and they don't want to be around me, and that's cool. It's okay. That's fine. But I don't want to intentionally hurt anybody, or, We've had episodes talking about being equally yoked with people, and you want to surround yourself with those that. I mean, I believe in hanging out with people who are smarter than me, because they're going to elevate me, and that's why I don't know why you're hanging out with me. I'm smarter than Bette in a couple of things.
Yes, hence some life wisdom that I've learned along the way that has been instrumental in my growth.
But she is smarter than me in a lot of things too. So that's how we complement.
Yes,
each other.
I also think that you surround yourself with people that it's not just about one thing.
No,
and you also shouldn't be a taker. So you shouldn't only hang out with people that you're trying to take from. No. There is a give and take. There is opportunity for us to learn from each other. If you can't learn from the other person, that doesn't feel like a reciprocal relationship,
There's
right?
just so many people who just want to fight
Yeah.
about everything. But I want to get into that.
Let's get into
more.
Okay, we're gonna talk. I know exactly what you're gonna say, and we're gonna talk about it. Now, this is an uncomfortable conversation that I have had to have, but we're gonna talk about physical, right?
Yeah.
Physical limitations when you're dating and how to communicate those.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Julz, get us started.
No, this is your deal.
Okay.
Well, I think we were going to talk about ED.
We were going to talk about ED.
Not education.
Not education.
I put that on our subject list, and Betty was like, "You want to talk about education?"
And then she's like, no, ED. I'm like, oh,
And
okay,
that
okay.
is erectile dysfunction.
We're going to talk about erectile dysfunction. So we're going to talk about that because it has been my experience that, and actually this is not just my experience. I saw there was a post on Facebook, and it was a woman talking about she was dating somebody, and they had decided that they were not going to be intimate. They were not going to have sex until they got married. And so they waited. But in the meantime, they were very open and honest about what they wanted for their future, their beliefs, their values, blah, 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 right? Well, then here comes their wedding night. They get married, and he forgot, omitted,
No, he didn't.
forgot to disclose, to share with his, he knew she was going to be his wife. He forgot to disclose that he had severe ED issues, and they couldn't
perform. They couldn't consummate.
Let's keep it clean here, people.
Yeah.
They couldn't consummate.
couldn't do
So I think, one of the things, she was asking for advice from her pastor about this. And to be honest with you, this is my position. You say whatever your opinion is, but this is a very uncomfortable conversation. I am not a man. I don't have those parts. So I can only imagine how uncomfortable it might be for a man to even want to share that information.
Right.
But let's talk about how uncomfortable it is for now the woman to have to discuss this with the man. Because now I feel like, if I'm her, now I feel like you omitted. And omission is a lie, because now you had to keep that going multiple times. You conveniently left it out the first time, and then you decided to continue to leave it out, which made it a lie. And at the time that you decided, that y'all had both decided that you were not going to be intimate until your wedding, well, now I feel like it's actually fraud.
I think it is too, because they
Now
had the conversation, and
yes,
he knew it.
He knew it. So now I actually feel like you 100% led her into a situation that you knew. And this is not funny. It's not funny.
Not funny.
We both believe in marriage, and we both don't take divorce lightly. And now she's at a crossroads, this woman who wanted to be married.
And you probably don't really know how it ended.
Yeah, I don't know how it ended. Because in her post, she was looking for advice. And she was talking about...
Did you read any of the comments?
Well, yeah. And of course, a million people were like, instant divorce. And a bunch of people were like, annulment. So all these people were really on her side of
I wonder, though, if she was at a place with him that she loved him so much that... Because I do think there are modifications that can be made.
There are.
And I'm just going to go out there on a limb and tell y'all that there are stories of women, and it's not ED. We were joking earlier and saying it was VD, but that sounds like venereal disease. It's not that. It's actually VA, vaginal atrophy. And so it's not just men that have these issues. It's women too. And especially after you go through menopause, there's just a lot of things. I remember being younger and watching commercials, and they were talking about painful sex. And I was like, what are they talking about? Well, you go through menopause and you learn some things in life, and you just have to kind of roll with the flow as it comes your way in life, and figure it out. And there's things that can be done for ED. There's things that can be done for the things that the female has issues
VA.
with. The VA. So you just, I get that I would want to know early on.
Yep. I think you absolutely...
You have to have the information up front, so you know if you want to keep spending time
Right.
with you spend time with somebody to see if you want to keep spending time with them. And I think the older you get, the more important these uncomfortable conversations are. And
so that is definitely an uncomfortable conversation that I do believe is avoided by most.
yeah,
That becomes an issue. That becomes a really, really big issue.
Because if they tell you about it and you really like them, then you may spend the time helping them get that figured out. Because ultimately, I think in a relationship, as you get older, there's so many more parts to a romantic relationship besides sex. I mean, there's the friendship, there's the companionship, there's
Your families.
your family. There's just you just enjoy being around them, and
So I'm just going to tell you, for a girl who's single and who's dating, it is one of the questions on my list.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to wait for somebody to omit or,
you're not going to fall. in
I'm
love.
not going to fall. I'm not going to do all that. So I actually do ask the question, and I do it from a place that is respectful.
Yeah, it's not like, "Hey, you."
I'm not a jerk about it. But I do think that it's really important to have that conversation. But again, uncomfortable conversation to have, uncomfortable topic to have, but there's absolutely no chance that I would lead myself into being in a situation because I was too uncomfortable to ask the question.
Right.
I'd rather ask the question and be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ask yourself that before, if you are thinking about, I have to have an uncomfortable conversation, whether it's with your boss, with one of your parents.
Don't talk about ED with your boss.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not with your boss.
not.
But if you have to have any kind of conversation with your boss, with your significant other, with a business partner, with
Your
a
best friend,
with
your
whoever
sister,
it
your
is,
yeah.
you think about the alternative. The alternative of you not having that conversation, if anything, that makes me even more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I have approached many conversations or even the breakup text.
Yeah.
Like having a breakup conversation or a breakup text, or even sending, whatever it is after a first or second date or first or second conversation to say, hey, I'm not feeling the chemistry. I've decided to go in a different direction. That's uncomfortable too, but it's worse to ghost.
Yeah,
It's worse
it
to
is.
pretend like you want to keep going when you don't.
Don't be a coward.
Don't be a coward. So there is a level of uncomfortability that really is about you, like, dig in and grab some courage.
Well, and
right?
showing some human respect and giving the other person their dignity and just being kind because they're a living creature and just respecting the fact that they breathe.
Yep.
Yep. They may not be for you, but that's okay. Other important topics are children, especially the older that you get, you need to really have clarification. Even if you're early on and it's your first marriage, not everybody wants to have children these days. And if you do want to have children, don't go date somebody that doesn't want to.
Right.
Don't put them, because you may sit there and say it's going to be okay, but I promise you down the road that's going to come and bite you in the butt, because they're going to say you kept me from having children and I really wanted children. And you're going to be sitting there going, well, you told me that you didn't want to when we first got together, but at least you have that. At least you had the conversation and you can say, do you remember that you told me we agreed that we didn't want to have children, or that we do want to have children, and now you're telling me that you don't. I mean, I don't know. It's almost like you need to have a signed contract these days before you go down the aisle with someone.
Yep.
A prenup for everything but money if you don't have any money.
Right. It's funny. There's an influencer who I love out there, by the way. Shout out to the Lazy Millionaire on Instagram. I think she's on TikTok too. But she has some pretty cool content of creating the life by design, the way you want to live, and apparently people have shamed her because she has publicly spoken out about not wanting to have children. And so people are, again, you can have your own opinion. And if you want to have children, great, go have them.
Yeah.
But I don't feel the need. I have children.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to go force somebody else to go have them. And I actually, because I'm a parent of 2 teens, I can understand why somebody might not. I don't necessarily necessarily think, no, I love mine. Okay, I'm just saying, I love mine. But there are challenges in life. There are a lot of things, and nobody comes with a manual. You don't know what you're doing. You have to learn as you go. I do not think that being a parent is for everybody.
No.
I don't think that. And I think that coming at somebody in a very aggressive, attacking mode, I really feel like not only is that incredibly disrespectful, but again, very black and white, very small-minded, very short-sighted. People can decide to do whatever they want to do. And so I actually responded to her post because she was saying that people were shaming her. And so I responded to her post and I said, I'm a mom of two. And I think, don't worry about what anybody else says. Live your best life. Do your thing. And I was applauding her because I think that it takes so much courage to want to be different and to speak out about it. I think that's really, actually, one of the things that I want for me is I don't want to blend in. Yeah. I don't want to blend in to be the same as everybody else. No. And I think that is in my personality to, have an opinion and to want to share it and to have a podcast and to like throw myself out there on social media. And, we're in sales and marketing. And so you have to be willing to get rejected. You have to be willing to walk up to anybody and, start a conversation. And in the process, you learn that not everybody thinks like you.
That's right.
Not everybody is going to like you. Not everybody has the same opinion. And you have to be okay with that.
Well, life would be pretty boring if we all had the exact same ideas and the same thoughts and the same feelings. And I mean, of course, that's who you want to share your life with, somebody that you're equally yoked to, but you can spend time and be respectful with someone who doesn't necessarily think like you. We don't need to make anybody feel bad. There's a lot of people out there who make people feel bad.
A lot.
And I just think it's ridiculous that we can't. Why do we have to tell somebody that they're
wrong?
Right.
It's that.
Right.
You're wrong. And it doesn't even matter what category we're talking about. Parents wrong their children for wanting to go to college and major in something that maybe they didn't want them.
Right.
So here you have a parent making a child wrong. And then you also might have a parent making a child wrong when their kid says, I've decided not to go to college. I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to pursue my dream. And again, they're being attacked.
Yep.
So it's like, I'm all for love and support. For me, I have a vision for what I want for my kids, but at the same time, I would rather them find the thing that lights them up and chase that direction. I would rather have them decide that they decided to go out on a limb and, to bet on themselves to try something different. And even if it doesn't go the way that it was going to go, I find that regardless of what you may have failed at, you learn the most. You learn the most. You have incredible opportunities, and it always leads to one door closes, another one opens. So,
well, sometimes as a parent, you do have to let go of your kids and let them fail, because that's where all the lessons is in the failure. I mean,
but there are parents disowning their kids if they don't follow a career path that they wanted for them. I think that's crazy. I mean, look, do what you want, no judgment. But from this perspective, I feel like I don't want that. I don't want my kid to be a robot.
I've always felt like that if a person, including our children, had something inside of them that they wanted to do, that is an assignment from God. That's what, I mean, our kids aren't even ours to begin with. They belong to God. So we're just here to steward them. And we stumble all the way through child rearing. Let me tell you, nobody's perfect.
Again, there's no manual.
There is no manual. And sometimes it comes and slaps you when they're grown up, and they love to tell you all the things that you did wrong. And the only way they'll really know how that feels is if they decide to be a parent, and then they get to see what that is all about and the challenges of raising kids. But I think ultimately in this particular podcast, the point that we're trying to make is that have those uncomfortable conversations, give each other the opportunity to see if you have a future together, and just give each other a chance to either stay or walk away.
Yeah.
And be okay with that.
And I think that's true for somebody that you're considering to be your partner. I think that's true for a job that you're in, and you need to talk to your boss to get some clarity about what your future opportunities look like. I think it's true for a mother or a father to talk to their children. You know, it's funny. I'm going to bring up an example. There are two examples actually that come to mind. One of them is these are two celebrities, but one of them is Pink, the musician, and then the other one is Layla Hermosi, who I happen to love. I love them both, but
I don't know who Layla is. I know who Pink is.
well, so
I might, but I don't.
I'll give a quick little recap story of them. They both were kind of got in trouble all the time as teens. They were kind of rebels. They got in trouble all the time with the law, right? There were things that they were doing, and at a particular age, their parents had to sit them down and say to them, you know, you're not headed down the right road. You know, you're either going to end up dead or in jail, right? Or you're going to choose to turn your life around but we can't do it for you. No. You're going to have to figure that out. And so it came from a place of tough love, really.
Yeah.
You know, you had to have those conversations of tough love.
An uncomfortable conversation with your kid.
An uncomfortable conversation, but from a place of love, not threatening them, not shaming them, but from a place of love of just like, this is what I'm seeing, and you might want to reconsider. You might want to figure out what is it that you want.
Turn it around a little
Turn
bit.
it around. And so I've heard both of them tell their story of how then they started taking the steps to turn their life around. And I mean, you know, now they have what they have. And it's a remarkable story of like, you know, kind of, they had to do the work. They had to decide for themselves.
You can't make your kids do anything. You can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink.
Exactly.
Period.
And
you
this
can't do it.
This goes back to conversations that we've had before where you can't change anyone. You cannot force them.
Including your kids.
Including your kids. However, the important thing here is that be willing to have the uncomfortable conversation, because sometimes it might just come from maybe the kid needed to hear that you actually cared.
Yeah.
Maybe they needed to know that you see them and that you support them and that you're there for them, even if they're not doing what you think they should be doing, but that you still love them and that you're still there to be by their side. So I think it can still be, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it could be really powerful and turn out to be really positive.
Well, I had that happen with one of my kids, and we reached a point where I said, all I can do is love you. I can't, what has to happen now has to be you. But I will always love you. I'm not going to enable bad behavior, but I'll be here, and there's nothing you can do that will make me not love you.
I think that right there. I think that's the right position to come from in any area that we're talking about. If you are able to say to anyone, I will still love you and I'll be right here.
Unless you are embarking on a new dating scene.
Then you cut off the other ones and be done with it. Let go of them.
Right,
Don't keep them around. I mean, we've had these conversations before where, you know, for me personally, it's funny, I had a conversation with a friend of mine. We went to dinner last week, and I was telling her about like, we don't do friends, you know, male friends.
Yeah.
We have had an episode about that, so you can go back and listen to that one. But personally, when you're dating someone, if it doesn't work out, I'm not into gathering male friends.
No.
And I have had some of the people that I have dated where I knew early on, oh, this is not going to work out. It's going to not go beyond right here.
Yeah.
I've had them say, oh, but can I keep you in my life? Can we be friends? Can we whatever? And I say, no, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, and then they usually, you know, they're having dinner or something, and then they're like, can we start being friends in the morning?
Right.
No.
Well, so it's funny that she said that, because the person that I was having this conversation with, my friend, she actually is really good friends with several people that she had dated in the past. Honestly, I don't know how she does it, but it has worked out really well for her.
That's good.
And I know her well, and I know her very well, that she does not blur lines. She does not do that. She's able to move on to the next relationship and, you know, not have any issues.
Jay says that men are the ones who aren't capable of being friends because they may be pretending like they are, but
And waiting for their shot.
if they had a chance, they would go ahead and flip over to that other side.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do y'all think?
Well, that's an uncomfortable conversation I have too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's true. I've had to have that conversation where the friend zone conversation comes in, and it's just not the right fit. So
Right.
you have to say it. You have to
Yeah, you do. I mean, we run into uncomfortable conversations every single day. Really. So our timer went off.
Oh, did it? What else do we want to say? Anything else about? I mean, there's a lot of kind of uncomfortable.
Just have the conversations. Don't sit there and think that you can brush things under the rug and that they're just going to take care of themselves, because they don't. And you could just end up in a big mess, and then you're going to be sitting there, and in hindsight, you're going to be thinking, man, I wish I would have had that conversation.
Yep.
We are
Yep.
believers in foresight, being 2020, and you have to take every scenario that's in your life and think about what it looks like down the road. Think about best case scenario, think about worst case scenario. And if you can live with some of those things that are on your list that are important, not everybody's going to be everything that's on your list. So you've got to pick and choose the ones that you can live with. But in those, you need to have the uncomfortable conversation.
And my final thought, thank you, Julz. My final thought is, I think the worst thing to do with an uncomfortable conversation is to avoid it.
Yep.
Is to not have it. Because she's right. If you start burying things, right, because you're a conflict avoider, because you don't want to say it, because you're too uncomfortable, because the other person might disagree or the other person might stop talking to you. If you are doing all of those things, you're not only creating a huge issue for you, because that creates your own level of betrayal to yourself. So now you're not going to have a good juju around that for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But then it's also like kind of a lie to the
It
other
is.
person. There's this disingenuous, is it disingenuous or disingenuine?
Just.
Okay, whatever word it is. There's this connection that I feel like that's not love. That's not love.
Well, then you're just having to remember the omission, or that, oh my gosh, we didn't have this conversation. I wish we would have. And now I've got to tell them, and I wonder what's going to happen when I tell them. And I don't know. It truly just stacks on top of each other when you can just have a level playing field and let everybody be able to truly see what it is they're looking at, and just let everybody have a good solid snapshot of what it looks like. It's not hard. It's easier to do than not doing it.
I agree. It's easier once you've done it to continue to do it.
Yeah.
Instead of avoiding it altogether.
Yeah, it is. Just trust us on this one.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's it. I mean,
Okay.
there are a lot of things that can be uncomfortable.
Yep. But I absolutely would say over and over and over again, I'd rather be uncomfortable having the conversation than to be uncomfortable holding it all in, because that makes me feel worse.
Yeah, or uncomfortable getting a divorce. That's really uncomfortable.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
anyway.
Well, there goes another episode. Thank you all for joining us on this one. And if you would, in the comments section, give us your feedback, give us your questions. And honestly, we do want to, everything we say, these are our own thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
And they come from our experience and they come from our beliefs. But this, what we say isn't 100% true for everybody
No.
else. So
It's true for us.
It's true for us, but we're okay with having the conversation. We're okay with you disagreeing.
Yeah.
If you want to chime in, we invite you to, because that'd be great.
Yeah.
So chime in if there's something that we said that you feel like, I don't believe that, or whatever, however you want to, express yourself, but we like the interaction.
Yeah.
So if you want to put it in the comment section below,
Do it with kindness, though.
do it with kindness, please.
Yeah. We're not doctors. We're not psychiatrists, psychologists. We're just
Two girls that
women.
like to gab.
We like to talk, and we like decided to record our conversations, and that doesn't make it right, wrong, or anything. It just makes it two girls having a conversation.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So,
And it just so happens
Yeah.
to be on, all these platforms
Yeah.
for everybody else to see.
yeah, yeah.
So the other way that you can communicate with us is you can send us an email directly. We read them and we respond to them. hello@bettyandjules.com, Bette.
And I'm Julz.
So we thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.